Hello, my name is Malcolm Hayden, and I am a senior at the University of South Alabama. This afternoon, I will be presenting 4 pieces. The first is Angelo from Measure for Measure, then Geronimo from The Forged Marriage by Molière, and Parolles from All's Well That Ends Well. I will then follow that with Agony from Into the Woods.
What's this? What's this? Is it her fault or mine? The tempter or the tempted who sins most? Huh, not she, nor doth she tempt, but it is I that's lying by the violet in the sun, do as the carrion does, not as the flower corrupt with virtuous season. Can it be that modesty may more betray our sense than woman's lightness? Having waste ground enough, shall we desire to raise the sanctuary and pitch our evils there? Oh, fie, fie, fie! What dost thou, or what art thou, Angelo? Dost thou desire her foully for these things that make her good? Oh, let her brother live. Thieves for their robbery have authority when judges steal themselves. What? Do I love her? That I desire to hear her speak again and feast upon her eyes? What is't I dream on? Oh, cunning enemy, that to catch a saint with saints doth bait thy hook. Most dangerous is that temptation that doth goad on us to sin in loving virtue. Never could be the strumpet with all her double vigor, art, and nature once stir my temper, but this virtuous maid subdues me quite. Even till now, when men were fond, I smiled and wondered how. If we take 52 from 64, we get 12. 5 years you spent in Holland, 17. 7 years spent in England, 24. 8 years spent in Rome, 32. And if to 32 we add your age when we first became acquainted, we have exactly 52. So that, Mr. Snaringrill, according to your own confession, you are between 52 and 53 years of age. My calculation is exact enough. Now, I will tell you frankly, as a friend, according to the promise you made me give you, that marriage would suit you but little. Marriage is a thing about which young people ought to think long and seriously before they risk themselves, but of which people of your age ought not to think at all. And if, as some say, the greatest folly a man can commit is to marry, I know nothing more preposterous than to commit to such a folly at a time of life when we should be most prudent. In short, to speak to you plainly, I would advise you not to marry, and I should think you very ridiculous if, after having remained free up to your time of life, you were now to burden yourself with the heaviest of all chains. What's that? You're in love with her? Ah, that's quite different. You didn't tell me that. By all means, marry then. I haven't another word to say.
There is little can be said in't. 'Tis against the rules of nature. To speak on the part of virginity is to accuse your mothers, which is most infallible disobedience. He that hangs himself is a virgin. Virginity murders itself and should be buried in highways out of all sanctified limits as a desperate offendress against nature. Virginity breeds mites, much like a cheese, consumes itself with the very paring, and so he dies with feeding on his own stomach. Besides, virginity is peevish, proud, idle, made of self-love, which is the most inhibited sin in the canon. Keep it not, you cannot choose but loose by it. Out with it. Within 10 years, it will make itself 10, which is a goodly increase, and the principle itself not much the worse. Away with it.
What's so intriguing or half so fatiguing as what's out of reach? Am I not sensitive, clever, well-mannered, considerate, passionate, charming, as kind as I'm handsome, and heir to her throne? You are everything maidens could wish for. Then why do I know that girl must be mad? You know nothing of madness till you're climbing her hair and you see her up there as you're nearing her, all the while hearing her agony, misery, woe, though it's different for each. Always 10 steps behind, always 10 feet below, and she's just out of reach. Agony that can cut like a knife. I must have her to wife.